Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Noah Unleashed, the first episode of Noah Unleashed of 2026, because we made it. We don't know what that means yet, but we made it this far, and congratulations for far. We made it this far, and congratulations for that. If you're new here, hi. I'm Melball. I like watching Japanese wrestling, and this is Noah Unleashed, a weekly news and review show where I talk about my favorite Japanese wrestling company, Pro Wrestling Noah. If you're not new here, welcome back to the glorious, glorious chaos that you know and love and expect from your Melball. It's been an interesting start of the year. We're about, I think, 13 days in now. We're here to talk about the January 11th show, which was the Legacy Rise 2026 show. We had a main event where Masa Kitamiya was challenging Yoshiki Inamura for his GHC Heavyweight Championship. But before we talk about all of that, I need you guys to like the video, subscribe to OLE, and turn on notifications to be alerted every time we upload a new video. So, before we get into talking about Legacy Rise, I wanted to real quick give you guys a little bit of an update. If you don't know, now you will. It's for the New Year's show, January 1st. We want to send a congratulations to Daga and Daiki Odashima for retaining the GHC Jr Tag Team Championships over the All Rebellion team of Kai Fujimura and Alejandro, as well as Shuji Kondo and Eita. We also saw, what else did we see? We saw Minoru Suzuki, Kazunina Ray to start off the new year, which was a lot of fun. We saw Saxon Huxley defeat Will Cruz to win the Progress Atlas Championship. Congratulations to Saxon Huxley there. We saw the inception, the creation, if you will, of Team Melball, the evolution of Team Melball into the White Raven Squad, which I'm super excited for. I need me a t-shirt. And then we saw something happen the next day, which I will talk about in a second here. We had Alpha Wolf defeating his brother Dragon Bane and then turning on him, well, sort of turning on him in the process of winning the GHC National Championship and joining Team 2000X. A shocker to start off of the year. We then saw Carl Anderson and Doc Gallows pick up a win over Jack Morris and Kaito Kiyomiya. And we also saw Bushi and Tetsuya Naito show up and defeat Naomichi Marufuji and Kano to win the GHC Tag Team Championships. And then we saw AMAKUSA defeat Hiromi Takahashi to bring the GHC Jr Championship back to Noah. And then we saw Ozawa return, which was such a good thing for their Melball and her soul. Unfortunately, we did see him fall to the champion, and Yoshiki Inamura retains his championship. That was all on the New Year show. What a way to kick off the show. Congratulations to all the new champions. Congratulations to the retainees. Congratulations to Alpha Wolf. Sorry to Dragon Bane. What a turn there. I was shocked. It was one hell of a way to ring in the new year. And actually, for me, the match between Dragon Bane and Alpha Wolf was literally happening at New Year's. I was so immersed in the match that I didn't notice until 12/20 that it was now 2026. So hey, good kind of distraction to go into the new year. So in the next night on the New Year reboot show, there was just a bunch of kind of mixed matches kind of going into this. We did see a singles match between Katsumi and Inahata and Naomichi Marufuji. Inahata has since joined the Noah Dojo. We've seen him team up with the other three young bloods in the company, Koyanagi, Tsuruya, and Takahashi. We also saw Passion Rattel's Saxon Huxley and Manabu Soya taking on Doc Gallows and Carl Anderson, and this was kind of the last evolution that we kind of saw of Soya Hey, we're going to talk about why in a little bit, but right now we're going to get into the show that we're here to talk about, which is the Legacy Rise that happened on January 11th. There was a couple championship matches happening here, a couple interesting things going on. So let's get into it. We start off with match number 1, which was an 8-man tag team match, featured Team Noah, the combination of Shuhei, Taniguchi, Atsushi, Kotoge, Hajime, Ohara, and Hiroki, taking on the new guys, the young bloods, Katsumi, Inahata, Hiroto, Tsuruya, Hayato, Koyanagi, and Midori, Takahashi. I want to just start off by appreciating Koyanagi, who has clearly come in with such power. He has there's something a little bit more edgy about him. Maybe it's just his age or maybe some training that he's had beforehand. But he has a lot of power in comparison to Tsuruya and Takahashi, who are much younger and I don't think have had previous training before. At one point, he vaulted into off the apron, dumping Kotoge with a running spine buster, and then springing to the top rope for a missile drop kick. It just so much power in those legs. Um, Inahata, also especially good, being kind of the leader of the group, definitely encouraging the other ones to jump in and break up pins, break up submissions, help the other teammates. Um, there was, I did hear on commentary say that he did have some kind of previous training, which also would explain the confidence that he has to get into the ring there. So the finish here came with Kotoge rolling through a sunset flip from Koyanagi, and then feeds him a knee to the face, and then picks him up for what I think commentary called a V drop, which is the air raid crash for the win. Um, the I how do I say this? Get the words out, Melball. These Japanese boys, the trainees coming out of Japan, not just from Noah, but especially from Noah because I watch them, are so damn good already. Their foundation is very well set. Their Boston Crabs, very, very good. Their drop kicks, very, very solid. Their fundamentals are very, very solid for having only a handful of matches in their career already. It's very impressive, to say the absolute least. So we're going to go from here into match number 2, which was a 10-man tag team match that featured Naomichi Marufuji, Keno, Manabu Soya, Muhammad Yone, and Eita taking on Jack Morris, Galeno, Will Cruz, Daga, and Dragonbane. Manabu Soya is back. Shuhei seems to have reached his maximum capacity of evolution, and we are now eagerly awaiting the return of Hey Hey Yo Hey. Um, I'm both excited but also disappointed about this because I was really hoping for a Shuhei Bamboo Dragonfly attempt. We'll just have to wait for another one. So there was a pose off between Morris and Yone at one point in the beginning here that results in a really funny little a moment between the two before Yone brings in Keno. Keno just yelling, Keno just Kenoing. That's what Keno does. I can never tell if he's annoyed or if he's happy while he's yelling. I don't think anyone else can either, and I think that's what makes this character really, really enjoyable. There's a battle of speed and agility between Daga and Marufuji, won by Daga. Watching the exchange of the kick attempts, which you can see on Instagram as a little highlight reel on Daga's Instagram, absolutely insane. How fast, how just well scouted, how smart these two men are in there is just the crowd just oohing and awing the whole time. It was a treat to watch. So there was a hilarious pin attempt by Daga who simply pushes Marufuji over after he's been squished by Galeno and occurs in the middle there. Eita and Dragonbane both kind of psyching each other out, going for moves, looking like they're going to go for a strike, the other covering up when they uncover, then actually striking. It was really, really funny. Eita with the kick, with the roll through on the sunset flip, and then Dragonbane with the thrust kick. They have such impeccable timing Eita and Dragon Bane. They're just so good in the ring together. Cruz trying his running lariat senton combo on Eita, but he misses with the senton the first time and results in Eita's team kind of doing a run-in on him on the corner. However, when Eita does run in, Cruz turns the tables on Eita, and Cruz's team then does the run-in on Eita, and then Cruz finally hits his senton to finish everything off. So the finish here comes with Cruz climbing to the top turnbuckle and nailing Eita with a frog splash for the win. I believe either this one or the 12th was Will Cruz's last match in this tour for Pro Wrestling Noah. Wish him all the best when he returns home, and I can't wait for him to come back. This was a really fun way to kind of bring the show from the first match going into the next match, which is a little sad for Melball here. So we're going to go into match number 3, which was the Bound for the World singles match between Ulka Sasaki and Kenta with Hayata at ringside. So Sasaki has announced that he will be coming to the United States for an excursion tour. We don't know how long, how short this tour will be. But I am hoping that maybe he can find it some time to come up to Canada, because I'd sure be excited to go see him anywhere here. So we're going to start off the match. Sasaki showing off his grappling skill, really grabbing Kenta before he can move around to the next move. This was essentially a sparring match in the beginning here. Both guys just kind of taking it slow, feeling each other out. Kenta then establishes his dominance and starts bringing Sasaki to the outside, relentlessly hitting DDTs, suplexes on the bare floor with the crowd just screaming in dismay. Vicious kicks from Kenta. Looks really, really stiff, really nasty. Sasaki coming back, though, with a stunner. There was a dream killer by Kenta, followed by the high kick and a John Woo drop kick in the corner, and then the double stomp for 2. Strikes back and forth by these guys. Palm strikes by Kenta. I mean, those are his absolute specialty, and he was unloading at one point, rattling Sasaki where he dropped to his knees. Kenta then goes for a pin attempt after Sasaki does drop to his knees, and then pulls the head up, not letting Sasaki kind of end things early. The finish comes with strikes back and forth, but Kenta ends up grabbing Sasaki on his shoulders, hitting the GTS for the send-off. Post-match, Kenta takes the mic, wishes Ulka luck. Ulka takes the mic, promises to do his best in America, and Sasaki leaves, and I'm immediately suspicious. Because why? Why did he leave? After some banter with the crowd, Bushi emerges with another masked individual from the backs to the boos. The crowd. New Japan guy is not as popular over in pro wrestling. Noah, I'm seeing. And it provides enough of a distraction for the masked individual to come up and attack Kenta. When Hayato goes into the ring to try to defend Kenta, Bushi then mists Hayata. Bushi lays down some challenges in this moment. We got a singles match coming up between him and Hayata. I believe we also have a 6-man tag match coming up between Bushi, Tetsuya, Naito, and X, who I'm guessing was the individual they had with them at the New Year's show, as taking on the remainder of the White Raven squad, which would be Kenta, Hayata, and Tetsuya Endo. It's not going to be confusing for me at all. Anywho, we are going to go from here to match number 4, which is an 8-man tag match featuring All Rebellion, the combination of Kaito Kiyomiya, Harutoki, Alejandro, and Kai Fujimura, taking on Team 2000 X, Takashi Sugiura, Alpha Wolf, Tadasuke, and Jun Masaoka, with Yoshitatsu. My nom-nom prediction for this is 4. Just putting out there. Was I right? We'll have to find out. Okay, so anyway, we're going to move on. Alpha Wolf with one of the coolest looking freaking masks I have seen in a long time. The shirt too, pretty freaking cool, but the mask, really hella cool. All Rebellion, again, the faciest face team I think I've ever had the privilege of seeing, coming out with the fingers and happiness. Makes me very happy. This is literally a match of good versus evil, the goodest of good versus the evilest of evil in this company. So everything was going smoothly until it wasn't. Tadasuke moves out of the way so that an incoming Fujimura nails his brother Alejandro, and a small argument breaks out between the brothers where chaos ensues as Harutoki and Kaito Kiyomiya come in to break up the argument. Team 2000X, of course, capitalizes on the chaos and brings the remaining All Rebellion members outside of the ring and start tossing them around. Masaoka, I love his sassy edge that he adds to Team 2000X. The way he runs and then instead of hopping over the person, walks over their face is absolutely hilarious. Then we got Alpha Wolf coming in, clowning around a bit with Fujimura before getting the first nom-nom of the match on the hand of Kai Fujimura. Alpha Wolf then showing his nasty new in-ring moves on Harutoki, including nom-nomming the forearm and then twice on the foot. 4 nom-noms. Do we have more? Let's find out. Let's find out, you guys. Okay, so All Rebellion finally getting it together. Starting to take apart the team with Fujimura and Alejandro hitting their tope con hilos. So, let's talk about the finish. You guys, the finish comes with Alejandro fighting Alpha Wolf for a waist lock and a boot to the face from a waiting Kai Fujimura. Alpha Wolf, however, is able to duck, and Fujimura misses his brother. He pulls back on his kick. He's smart. He knows what's going on. But as Alejandro is getting Alpha Wolf into position for a move, Kai Fujimura thrust kicks his brother, Alejandro, into the face. And then picks up Alejandro, sends him to Alpha Wolf, who is waiting for a pop-up powerbomb. It's my spot. Pop-up powerbomb rolls up Alejandro into the waiting arms of Fujimura, who then does a golazo on Alejandro. And then Alpha Wolf takes the pin and the win. And I'm sitting here going, what? What the fecking feck? What the feck? I was expecting this out of Junta Miyawaki, who, by the way, is on DDT, but we'll talk about that in a minute. Fujimura betraying his brother Alejandro, who admittedly has been on a little bit of a losing streak for the team as of late. Betraying his brother, betraying All Rebellion, and putting on the Team 2000X shirt, standing defiant after throwing up the X, leaving with the team. So for starters, I had the right nom-nom prediction, which means I have to drink a shot of tequila later, which is going to be awesome. But what a shocker. And that's the second brother turning in Pro Wrestling Noah in about 2 weeks in the first month of 2026. And is it wrong of me to be here for the chaos? Again, I expected Junta Miyawaki to be the person more frustrated and wanting to turn, but it kind of makes sense. With the year that Kai Fujimura had with his feud with Junta Miyawaki, he had such a good year, and then going to the finals of that Super Junior tournament, being under the thumb of his brother and having to drag around the losses that his brother was procuring, it kind of makes sense to me. I am excited for what this means because that means more juniors on Team 2000X, and we're going to talk about this a little bit more at the end of the show. For now, we're going to go on to match number 5, which was a singles match between Ozawa with a bunch of people. With a bunch of people. I didn't write them down, but I know Tatsu was out there. I'm pretty sure Alpha Wolf was also out there. Yes, those are the only two out there. Okay, so Alpha Wolf and Yoshitatsu with Ozawa taking on former Team 2000X member Tetsuya, Endo. The feud going into this one was very fun. And again, this is something that I love about Ozawa, is that he creates a feud out of absolutely nothing with whoever he's going into singles matches with. And it clearly doesn't matter if it's a title match or not. Tetsuya Endo and Ozawa have been bickering back and forth on Twitter going into this match, putting up fake photos of each other, making up false stories about each other. It has been hilarious to watch. If you don't know who Ozawa is, you guys need to listen to this match, look at the finish here. Watch this, man. So let's get into it, you guys. So Endo, trying to get into the head of Ozawa early, kind of playing some of the games that Ozawa likes to play. Might not have been the best idea at the beginning here, though. Endo is able to avoid the leg sweep by Tatsu, because, he used to be the leg sweepy guy, but not from Alpha Wolf, who then tosses Endo around into the barricades for quite a bit. Ozawa grabs the trophy that he won from Tokyo Sports and then attempts to hit Endo with it, but Endo moves and Ozawa ends up smashing it on the ring post and breaking it into several pieces. And almost like he didn't know what was happening, this almost shocks and enrages Ozawa. But it's like, my dude, what did you expect? It was either going to do that on Endo's face or the post. I think he was maybe just upset that it wasn't Endo's face. So we got the Endo special on Alpha Wolf also at one point, but the finish here comes with Yoshitatsuin, Tatsuin, distracting the ref while Alpha Wolf comes in to help Ozawa, but Endo ends up booting him, steps on Ozawa's recently surgically repaired foot, and then Pele kicks Alpha Wolf out of the ring before tossing Ozawa into Tatsu and rolling up Ozawa into this kind of like desperate looking cradle for a very sudden pin win and end to this match. Am I a little upset? No. Well, not at all. This was really, really fun match, and I think they're actually going to be playing a very interesting story with Ozawa. Ozawa is one of those people who can make any story that he's kind of involved in really interesting and really entertaining. I felt that the story of this almost kind of stole a little bit of the spotlight away from the last two matches, which are championship matches. This was just a grudge match between the two. The next two matches are championship matches, and I felt there was more almost interest generated between the participants of this regular singles match than there was the next two matches. So let's get into it. The semi-main event, match number 6 for the GHC Heavyweight Championship. Daiki Odashima with Daga in his corner challenging AMAKUSA. So Odashima starting off strong and heavy, really hitting AMAKUSA with everything that he had, and it's a lot considering his diminutive size. AMAKUSA hitting a scoop slam on Odashima off of the apron onto the floor on the outside, and I gasped. I yiked out loud. Odashima really favoring the ribs after that point. Obviously, just got dropped on them. Odashima hitting that signature gut-wrench suplex and that big air crossbody. Odashima also drop kicking AMAKUSA out of the sky at one point, and then hitting an avalanche fisherman hook suplex and immediately pinning 4-2. And then when AMAKUSA kicks out of that, he transitions into this beautiful arm trap choke that he just cinches in there and has locked on AMAKUSA for quite some time before AMAKUSA can kind of shimmy to the ropes. These guys were exchanging moves, submissions, back and forth. I already knew how good Odashima was, but the sense of urgency that he was showing in this match was even higher than he usually shows, which is already incredibly high. Trying to match that speed and unique agility and moveset of AMAKUSA, though, I can't imagine how hard that was for him. So the back and forth again, absolutely crazy. Neither man backing down. The finish comes though with Asuka hitting a judo driver, it looks like, on Odashima, followed by the corkscrew senton, and Asuka retains the GHC Junior Heavyweight Championship. We didn't have too much going on post-match. It was just kind of a, I won, and kind of one and done kind of thing. We didn't get a challenger yet. Probably because we are going into the Junior Tag League, which I will be doing a separate video about coming up soon once they announce what the X team is. But I'll talk about that at the end of the show. So, match number 7, you guys, is for the GHC Heavyweight Championship. This is Masa Kitamiya with the team, and pretty much all of them. We had Yoshitatsu, Jun Masaoka, Tadasuke, and Alpha Wolf all in the corner of the chairman, taking on the champion Yoshiki Inamura, who was just kind of there by himself because he didn't need the team. He was a one-man team in himself for the most part. We'll let you know what happens. So let's get into it. This match, you guys, was like a big meaty men match, but it wasn't a big meaty men slap and meat match until the end of the match. This part was just these guys exchanging moves and doing their best to overpower the next. And they were fighting each other in the process. It was showcasing and showing off the strength and power of both of these men. And considering they used to tag together, they knew each other so well that they were successfully reversing or blocking entirely moves, and it made for a very fun and entertaining kind of way to start the match. So Tatsu, he be Tatsuing, as a Tatsu does, distracting the ref, but Inamura ends up tossing Masaoka out at Tadasuke and then Tatsu, but like in a military press, yeet style, but then being tossed by Alpha Wolf into the ref and then to the outside where the team is able to recover and start beating on him on the outside. There was a top rope belly-to-belly suplex by Inamura, sending Kitamiya to the other side of the ring, and then follows up with that pop-up powerbomb and then a frog splash, which they call the discharge. But Tatsu, he be Tatsuing, and the ref made a quick exit stage left and was not able to finish his count. There was Wild Keno enters the fray and dispatches the wayward team members who are not in the match, which ended up not working out in his favor. Kitamiya gets the chair, starts swinging on Inamura and Keno, but Inamura ends up running into him and running the chair through. Kitamiya managed to pile drive Inamura, but because they took out the ref, there was no one to count the pin. We need some foresight on this, you guys. Kitamiya locks on the stranglehold, and I thought it was done. However, Inamura is able to power his way through Shimmy Jimmy to the ropes, managing to break the hold. So the match now becomes the big meaty men slapping meat before the heaviest moves of the match start just shaking and rattling the ring, with pin attempts being exchanged back and forth, and then Inamura hitting a muso, or as I like to call it, that spear and nagi. So the finish, you guys, the finish comes with Inamura climbing to the top rope, hitting a massive discharge and pinning the chairman to retain the championship. I was a little disappointed because that's the second team member now in a row this year to challenge for the GHC Championship, and it was unsuccessful. I want more gold in the team. I'm selfish like that. I like the dastardly team, you know. World's kind of in its villain era. I feel like I need to follow suit and follow the villains. That being said, Inamura has really kind of won over the crowd, especially, but has really started to win over me. His matches are becoming very consistent, very exactly where I expect them to be with the strong styling. So post-match, Keno looks to talk to Inamura about securing his championship opportunity, since Inamura wanted to challenge him on New Year's Day, but Masa Kitamiya said nay. Now Sugiura shows up and tells Keno, nay. Inamura loses his shit, starts getting very angry at the team. He grants Takahashi Sugiura his match, and once again, Keno is kind of pushed off to the side. I have a feeling, though, that this is building for when Keno does actually get that championship match. We are going to see a championship win, because last year when Keno won that championship, I don't even think he held it for 24 hours, which is longer than some people's out here in Alberta. But I'm just saying, it was kind of disappointing. Even if I'm not the biggest Keno fan, it was a little disappointing. So that brings us to the end of the review of the match. I managed to keep it under 30 minutes. Proud of myself for that. This was a really fun show. I really enjoyed the production, seeing the way it was all kind of set up. The camera crew was set up really well. I'm enjoying the little corner camera. I'm a little disappointed that the only one utilizing it is Inamura. I would love to see other wrestlers just start kind of beaking at it and yelling at it, because we can hear the audio. At least for me on the English side, I can. So, like, guys, talkie, we can hear it. We can't always hear what is being said when you're talking to the cameras at ringside, but the corner camera, we can always hear. So let's talk real quick. I wanted to talk about Team 2000X and the growth of it, because now we kind of have a more balanced Team 2000X. Because once we started kind of losing members, whether it be to, their visas were done and they had to go back home, like Null, or they went on excursion, like Owada-san, who I believe is now Koga? I'm going to have to figure that one out. But then we also had Daga and Jack Morris also leaving the team. We were seeing a little bit of fracturing going on, but then we saw, Kitamiya come on, Tetsuya Endo come and go, Takahashi Sugiura replace him. I'm looking at the team right now going, I think this is actually the strongest team, even stronger than Team Noah right now, in regards to balance of styles and balance of people. Because if you look at it, we got the heavyweights in Takahashi Sugiura, Masa Kitamiya, Null, Alpha Wolf, who can probably skirt both of them, let's be honest, and then Ozawa. And then you have the juniors in Tadasuke, Jun Masaoka, Kai Fujimura, and then Owada-san, Koga. And then you have a permanent manager, like the person who, and I feel that this is kind of the big deal breaker for the team. And I feel that if we saw this a little bit more in other teams in Pro Wrestling Noah, that we would probably start to see the tides maybe turning a little differently. And that's the permanent member with Yoshitatsu. Tatsu, even though Tatsu be Tatsuin, his Tatsuin be functional. His Tatsuing be so functional, pulling the legs of the ref, pulling the legs of the participants, getting up and distracting the ref, helping the team members outside, fanning them if they're overwhelmed, distracting opponents away from the team when they're trying to take a couple seconds to recover. These are all extremely good qualities of a manager. Maybe if we saw someone doing that for All Rebellion would have, in a facier way, obviously, maybe All Rebellion would start to have a little bit more success against combating the Team 2000X. We can't really bring Passion Mortales into this because Manabusoya is just a one-man army right now. But like even Team Noah, we could see something like that potentially happen there. Would love to see Hajime Ohara and Atsushi Kotoge having a manager coming down there to kind of help them out, even if it is just Hiroki, just for the sake of keeping the numbers even. I love what the team is doing, and they've pretty much, for me, as someone who was a Bullet Club fan, they've kind of put themselves into that position of favorite now. There's not, to me, a more balanced and more functional team in professional wrestling right now than Team 2000X. So the one thing I did want to talk about also, this is not so much of a problem for anybody other than myself. I love the commentary crew, but there's one thing that really bothers me, and I know it's just for me, a tism where an auditory thing is happening and it's a personal quirk of mine. But in regards to commentary, and that's all commentary, not just Noah's, I do expect three major things. The first is balance, a balance of color and action calling, because there's sometimes if I'm looking away, I would love to have some of the moves being called, and they do that pretty balancedly in Pro Wrestling Noah. The second thing I expect is knowledge of the wrestler, and that's just overall of the wrestler, their moves, their history, their training, everything about the wrestler. The third thing I expect is continuity, and this is the thing that I'm kind of losing on. Mark Pickering and I believe it's Walker, I always forget the second guy's name, the Scottish guy. They do so good at bringing in that history of the wrestler, history of the training, history of this. There is one thing though, and I don't know if it's an accent thing, which could completely be it, and that's just what it is. But there is a way that the continuity isn't happening with Amaska. Where one of the commentary is saying Amaska and one of the commentary is saying Amakusa. For someone who's listening to that, it's kind of confusing. Took me a couple shows to kind of figure out who they were talking about, because who's this extra Amakusa person that I didn't that wasn't announced. And I'm also going just based on what the crowd is chanting, what the announcer is announcing. For me, that's something that I would like to get under wraps, but also both commentators have very tonal accents. And as someone who has a Canadian accent, I know that there are certain things that are very hard for me to pronounce because the oh yeah starts to come out and the closed throatedness of my accent starts to become apparent. I would like to see the continuity with Amaska though. I hate to complain about it again because the commentary crew is so good, but with Amaska and then the pronunciation of Amakusa, it doesn't even sound like the same name. And it does start to get under my skin to the point where I'm just like, I can't listen to it. I do have to mute, usually halfway through English commentary with Amaska, just because it does start to grate on me. Again, that is a tism thing for me. But again, with the continuity, maybe other people are also kind of having the same issue. Or retrospectively, and something I also thought of afterwards, is maybe that is the English pronunciation of Amakusa, at which point I would like to just flat out not accept it because it just sounds weird to me. So anyway, that brings us to the end of the show, you guys. Did you get a chance to check out the Legacy Rise show? Because like, for me, anytime I'm now like I see Ozawa on the show, I have to watch it. I cannot miss that. And now that he's back, it just thank the wrestling gods. Whatever thing you sold your soul to for Team 2000X, sign me up, please, and thank you. The championship match, Masa Kitamiya versus Inamura. I was really kind of hoping for a Kitamiya win on this one, but I also am such a big Kitamiya fan, especially after predicting that he would win the N1 last year. I was kind of hoping that this championship match would be the opportunity. That being said, though, they didn't give him a lot of build going into this match. It was just kind of like laid down, felt kind of last second. So I feel like they'll probably give him another championship opportunity, and maybe an opportunity to carry the championship when he can actually batten down and put out a good promo and storyline with it. So that all being said, you guys, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to OLE, and turn on notifications to be alerted every time you drop a new video. You, me, us, everyone, anyone, YouTube. If you want to watch some Pro Wrestling Noah, I will leave the link for Wrestling Universe in the description box down below. It is 1,000 928 yen, approximately 13 Canadian. It's a phenomenal price, some phenomenal wrestling. Because not only do you get access to Pro Wrestling Noah, you get access to Tokyo Joshi Pro, you get access to DDT, you get access to Marvelous, and so many more. I believe there's 12 different companies on there, and now Monday Magic is considered its own separate entity on there, which I will also be putting out videos for in the coming weeks. But yeah, incredible price for some incredible wrestling, you guys. Get on there. Go check out the show that I was talking about today. You don't want to miss out on that. What else? What else? If you want a daily dose of me, your Melball, you can catch me on the X thing at Collins Melball. You can catch me on everything else: Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, Mastodon, and Blue Sky at Melball Collins. I think that is everything, you guys. We will have another episode of Strong Style Fashion coming out very, very soon. I believe next Tuesday I am going to be releasing that one. I'm also going to be releasing a couple more videos of Noah Unleashed in the coming couple of days, talking about the January 10th show, as well as the January, I believe, 13th show that will be coming out. So stay tuned for all of that. But until next time, matane! Mwah!